I think the biggest myth in the beauty industry is that you need 7 to 10 products for healthy, glowing, youthful skin. I just don't think that's true. And that's why I created Vive's Leaves, because I have 3 steps in this program and my skin looks great every day. Yes, the occasional facial, absolutely. Everyone should do that. Some exfoliation throughout the month, yes, but you don't need 10 products to do that. And I think a lot of it, a lot of those products and special ingredients can be combined into one place, one bottle, which is kind of what I've done. And you can get the skin that you need, and keep your routine simple. Life is so full of so many things. We all have so much to do. Let's simplify something somewhere. And I'm doing that in my beauty routine.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Expert. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7- and 8-figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. If you ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Now, today we've got another great guest on the podcast, Genevieve Dolan. And Genevieve, we're going to talk about a few different things, including, what to do when business gets a bit slow, the different lessons that to be learned going into the beauty industry, and then also how to compete with both a saturated market, also is with a market that has a lot of big players in it, and then how to do that also while working on a small budget, and then how to appreciate and leverage the small wins. So it should be a great conversation. And with that much as a introduction to the podcast, welcome onto the podcast, Genevieve.
Thank you, Devin. So nice to be here. And for those who didn't see the last podcast, I'm Genevieve Dolan, and I'm the CEO and founder of Vive's Leaves, which is a simple skincare line for complex skin. So very happy to be here.
Well, excited to have you on. And as Genevieve mentioned, and now I'm going to ask, and I'll do this in the middle of the podcast, is it Genevieve or Genevieve? I just want to make sure I got it.
Genevieve. I know.
All right. I was right the first time.
I have trouble saying it too, I guess, sometimes, but you can call me.
And it's one of those where it's like, I'm pretty sure it's right. And then I'm like, but I don't want to go the whole episode and then come to the end and find out it was wrong. So figured I would just ask why we're on live on the podcast, but no.
Yeah, so it's all good. Genevieve is fine. Vive is fine. Whatever. I have so many names, so whatever works.
So, but for those that are caught, so Genevieve was on the inventive journey. So if you wanted to go back and catch her kind of full journey of how she got to where she's at today, definitely would encourage you to do so. But for today, for the inventive expert, I think one of I have a theory, and I've shared it with my wife before, that generally, not that everybody can be successful, they want to go into kind of a few different industries. Food and beverage, everybody has an idea for a restaurant. They want to go into the clothing industry, or they want to go into the health and wellness industry. Just seems like everybody has one of those ideas. And yet, as you found out, it is a much different thing from having an idea, kind of like, hey, I have a great shirt, idea for a funny or great shirt, to building a business around it, especially when it's a saturated business, has a lot of big businesses that are well funded, have a lot of money in there. Just having an idea and thinking everybody is going to pay you for it isn't quite the case. And so kind of walk us through, how do you get beauty industry, a lot of big players, a lot of money, a lot of products. How do you go into a saturated market with big players and survive?
Yeah, I know it's definitely proven its challenges, but I think the best thing for me is to really focus on my goals as a founder and as, a new brand. And I think really lean into my niche, and that is complex skin issues, acne, dryness, redness, just really skin that you're uncomfortable in. And so what I'm really focusing on is creating products for people who feel uncomfortable in their skin, both physically and mentally, and helping them, get to the other side, which is having healthy, youthful, glowing skin, and, not using a million products while trying to do that, and just kind of pushing a positive lifestyle along with the products that I sell.
So now how do you go about, because you sell, a little bit sounds like maybe you focus on the brand, the story, kind of, or get that out there. But if you're a startup or a small business, generally you have a fairly limited budget. You can't go and do the $1 million ad campaign. You can't do the huge budget thing, or marketing pushes. So how do you go about, or establishing a brand in a crowded market and stand out? Is it going on to socials and telling your story? Is it going to farmers markets? Is it going store to store and selling it at boutiques? All the above, or kind of how do you go about
it's a
doing
little
that?
bit of everything. You got to do it all. So I started off, I understand what my strong suits are, but it takes a village to really help build this brand. So I started off last year and I brought in some people who helped me with PR and marketing, and that has done wonders. And as I continue to grow, as the brand continues to grow, I continue to kind of bring in people with specialties that can really help the brand grow. So we brought in a social media team in the fall, just after you and I met. And now we are about to head into bringing in someone for affiliate and influencer marketing. So I'm really putting all the ingredients in the bowl now. And once I have them all together, I really think that we have a really good chance at pushing the product and the brand forward, despite, the saturated market, despite the celebrity endorsements on every other brand. So we're hopeful, and I'm lucky to have found people who are very good at these little things that really that help build the brand or help make the brand grow where it needs to.
So it sounds like, and putting words in your mouth, you can certainly correct or tell me that they're wrong. But when you're looking at doing that, is it social media? Is that one of the bigger focuses that you guys push on, or is there other avenues that you guys equally focus on, or kind of illuminate that a little bit more?
So yes, so my marketing and PR teams have been great. They've gotten me into plenty of I've been covered by a ton of different media sources, and then my marketing has worked hard on the digital side. Social media has now been cleaned up. It looks very professional, and it really helps explain the brand story and the brand mission. So that's been helpful. And now, yes, I'm going to kind of up our social media presence by bringing in someone who's really going to help with affiliate and influencer partnerships.
Awesome. Makes sense. So now, as you're doing that, so maybe just rewinding a bit, and kind of as you were getting into the beauty industry, we touched on one and we went on it, as far as saturated market, big competitors, but I assume that there's other difficulties that you encountered along the way, whether it's developing a product, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and how to package it, and how to actually get the product in hand before you're even going to be able to go out and sell that. So kind of as you were initially, jumping into or striking out in the beauty industry, how did what are some of the lessons you learned along the way, or what are some of the different lessons you've learned in the beauty industry?
Well, it's certainly, you can't just make a product and expect people to buy it. Now, I'm lucky to have an amazing support group, and so, my friends and family love it. And as soon as they give it to their friends and family, people do love the product. But it's really about getting the word out. It's really about this brand awareness and real people talking about their genuine reaction and experience to the brand. And that has been building up a lot in the past year for us, which has been really helpful and really helps give us, just the brand presence that we're looking for. And then, of course, we, adding a couple more products here and there is always helpful. And we've been able to launch into Amazon. And I'd love to go into both of those subjects at some point here, but it's, you kind of have to keep building, and it's one step at a time, and it takes a lot of time. And I think for me, one of the biggest lessons is patience and just continuing to believe in myself and believe in the brand.
No, I think that definitely makes sense. And as you mentioned, why don't we dive into it? Because I think that one of the biggest marketplaces, and especially if you're selling for the vast majority of products, or at least consumer products, you have to be on Amazon, or I don't know that you have to. It's a big marketplace that you're missing out on if you're not on Amazon. There are people
Yes.
and clients I know that aren't on Amazon and able to find a way, but the vast majority are saying, hey, it's where the eyes are, it's where people go to find stuff. So walk us through a little bit of tips, tricks, things you found out, things you've learned, or things that you should be
Right.
aware of, whether it's in the beauty industry specific or just, on Amazon in general.
Well, as a consumer of Amazon products, it's been so fun to now be on the other side. It's also been challenging. Luckily, I have great people who help me behind the scenes and, help me get logged in there and get the whole process started. But that's a whole other scene. We're really lucky to be on Amazon, and that's a huge goal, a huge thing that we've accomplished this year. So I'm very excited. But it takes ad space, it takes more money, and I'm still competing against some lower price skincare items, so it's just, there's always competition wherever I go, which is fine. I'm fairly competitive, but it's all about learning how to navigate within those different arenas. Amazon's a whole other arena than a retail store or, just an online marketplace. So for me, I'm still learning and my team's learning, but we're definitely making headway. It's only been a couple months, but we've gotten some orders and we're definitely looking for more.
Awesome. So and one of the things you hit on that, different arena than, brick and mortar. People go in, they can see, they can touch, they can feel the product. They also have a limited selection. It's not as easy to sort, so it's a different animal, so to speak. But now, as you've gone onto Amazon, how do you compete solely on price and try and be the cheapest? Do you try and have the best ads, the best pictures? Do you spend on marketing so you rank higher because you pay Amazon to do it? Or kind of, what have you guys found at least that works for you?
Yeah, there's so many different avenues and strategies you can take. I think one thing that I will always stand true to as a brand is transparency and, being very honest about what's in my products, what our products are for, who and what they'll work best for. So I keep that up on there. And we're also working on ad spend. So I think those are our two strategies. And pricing, we did lower our price actually in the past year or past like 4 or 5 months. So that has been, I think, a really good decision that has been made. But yeah, a few of those things that you mentioned, we've done. And I think all those things are helping. I think in the next month, I'll be seeing how our ads are doing. And then, but no, I mean, I'm definitely not trying to be the cheapest brand. I'm trying to be one of the best brands. And if that means you have to pay a little bit more money, I'm okay with that because our formulas tell it all and put it on your face and then you'll understand, But in general, I'm true to my brand and ads for now. And that's what we're working on.
No, it makes perfect sense. And I think that is that balance because, cheaper isn't always the best. And
Right.
yet a lot of people are still looking for inexpensive products or which one's the best for the least amount of money. And so you have to find that right balance and
I
strike
know.
and do
And
that.
and that's the thing too. It's like, that's the whole thing with Thieves Leaves. It's a balance of, I don't want people to spend their whole paycheck on my skincare. I don't want to pay that, So I think we've done a really fair job at analyzing the market and understanding the best place and the best price point for our products.
No, makes perfect sense. Now, or maybe to kind of follow that up, and one of the other things that you mentioned that I think makes good sense, but I think is oftentimes overlooked is also, sometimes, especially when you're a startup, small business, just getting going and grow or figuring things out, is appreciating and leveraging the small wins. And so, if you're a huge business and you have a big quarter and you have millions or billions of dollars of sales, great. It's an easy to appreciate the big wins and, hey, we did this or this much money and this much income. When you're a startup, most of the time you're just kind of running around trying to make sure you put out all the fires and everything gets done, and you keep the wheels on the bus, so to speak. So how do you go about kind of first of all appreciating the small wins, but then also leveraging those for the future?
Yeah, so I actually had this conversation with my PR team yesterday, and we were kind of going through, and we've done so many things, so many small things, but it's been amazing. We've added 2 more SKUs. So now we're at 4 SKUs. We've gotten on Amazon. We've increased our retail placement. So we're hiring all these teams to help improve. And I think for me, I'm kind of someone who can just head down, just keep going, keep going, keep going. And it's really important to, take that step back and realize, wow, you really have grown this much. You really have done this much in a very difficult space. And it's really just about being excited and being like, all right, then when you think about those things, then that really helps you leverage that motivation to move forward and be like, all right, next project, what are we doing next? How do we improve? But again, important to take a step back, which the girls reminded me yesterday, to just be proud and be excited.
No, and I think that is one. It is easy. I said I always, one of the things that took me a while to learn in my career, at least for how to balance things properly, was, in a startup and small business, you're always going to have fires to put out, and there's never a lack of fires, and it's usually the amount of time in which fires you choose to put out. And so often you're focusing on, whether, and I call them fires, but it's whether it's the next thing, whether it's trying to build a company, whether it's trying to make payroll, whether it's trying to increase sales, whether it's trying to manage people, interpersonal disputes, products, returns, all of those things. And so by the time you focus on all that, a lot of times you never take that step back because you're always looking forward in the next things to do. And yet I think taking that step back, one for you as just the owner, but even two as a team, and showing appreciation and what they've done and what they've accomplished can go a long ways.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm right there with you. It's like one thing after the other, and then you forget to just enjoy. And we have to remember to do that.
No, absolutely. So now, so if you were to take someone that's, because as I said, I think there's a few different industries that people naturally gravitate towards and always think they have a great idea. And as you're, evidence of, some people do have a great idea and you can build a business around it. And some people kind of get bogged down or don't know where to start, in especially in this industry. So if you're saying, hey, someone that was kind of just starting to get into the beauty, or let's even take it a step back, someone that was just getting or had a good idea, wanted to get started, kind of what would you give as those first steps or those first pieces of advice as to where they might want to start to focus?
So what type of advice would I give someone who wants to start a business?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Sure.
I think create a budget and work backwards and create a big one. Just really understand where exactly you're going into, who you're competing against, and just really having knowledge of the industry that you're going up against. And I don't mean that negatively. I just mean that knowledge is power. And it's better to just know and be ready for some of the hurdles that will probably be thrown at you. But also, of course, be passionate about what you're going to do and what you're going to create. I think liking the products you make, or having, enjoying the services you might want to sell is probably the best way to go into your own thing.
No, makes perfect sense. I think that definitely makes sense. A great pieces of advice. So, well, with that, now as we've kind of talked through a bit of the few different areas of expertise, covered a lot of ground. I always like to wrap up each episode with the same question. So we'll jump to that now. So for the inventive expert, the question I always like to ask is, within your industry, what is the biggest myth and why is it wrong?
I think the biggest myth in the beauty industry is that you need 7 to 10 products for healthy, glowing, youthful skin. I just don't think that's true. And that's why I created Vive's Leaves, because I have 3 steps in this program, and my skin looks great every day. Yes, the occasional facial, absolutely. Everyone should do that. Some exfoliation throughout the month, yes, but you don't need 10 products to do that. And I think a lot of it, a lot of those products and special ingredients can be combined into one place, one bottle, which is kind of what I've done. And you can get the skin that you need, and keep your routine simple. Life is so full of so many things. We all have so much to do. Let's, let's simplify something somewhere. And I'm doing that in my beauty routine.
No, I think that's great. And I think, to your point, I think sometimes we try and overcomplicate things. We try and figure we need X, Y, and Z. We need the next thing, the next best thing, and everything else. And we keep adding to the arsenal. And the complexity doesn't always lead to better results. It just really leads to more complexity and more difficulty. So I think that's a great piece of advice and a great myth to dispel. So, well, now as we're wrapping up, if people want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
Definitely go to our website, vievesleaves.com. Everything is on there. You can email me on there. You can shop on there, most importantly. And then our Instagram at @vievesleaves. I always return the messages. So any questions about the products, I'm here for you, and very excited to have the opportunity to tell you all a little bit more.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage people to reach out, support a great business, and if nothing else, make a new best friend. So with that, thank you. always can use a new best friend. So not that I don't appreciate my current best friends, but always could use even more.
Oh, I know. I understand. Well, thank you so much, Devin. Yeah, here I'm always a friend. I love being a friend.
Absolutely. So, well, thank you again for coming on the podcast. It's been a fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you other listeners that are out there, if you can help us to share this expertise with even more startups and small businesses to help them along their journey to success, just click like, subscribe, and share. Helps us to reach even more startups and small businesses. And on that note, if along your journey you ever need help with patents, trademarks, or anything else to your startup or your small business, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Well, thank you again, Genevieve, for coming on the podcast. Wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thank you so much, Devin. Have a good one.